Chapter 13 Continuation. Early Sunday morning, around 5 o'clock, I woke up from a strange and complicated dream. It was about solving problems, several at once, a kind of quantum mechanics task, where multiple processes ran simultaneously and all had to be solved at the same time. I had to give up, but the remnants of the dream led over to the melody from the day before. And suddenly, the harmonic and tonal functional aspects were resolved in a moment. I had intuitively made use of parallel keys, especially median relationships, but with a firmly anchored root tone in the main key. The root tone lays there as a heavy organ point throughout the piece, much like Bach often does towards the end of his mighty oratorios. But with the difference that the organ point usually heralds the coming of the dominant right at the end of the work, a heavy, sustained, and enduring dominant, usually crowned with a asterisk tierce de Picardy asterisk in the main key. Not only that, this Sunday morning would also reveal why parallel keys on the median level fit together like hand in glove. Even with massive use of dissonant harmonies that, strangely enough, did not sound dissonant at all, the analysis became obvious. A simple explanation presented itself. In all tonal music, a clear root tone is perceived and heard. It is usually the tonic of the main key, that is, the tone everything gravitates towards, the tone we finally come home to. In a triad, the root and fifth are self-evident. They resonate within the natural overtone series whether we hear them consciously or not. What happens, however, when a melody is introduced, is that its nature gradually seeks away from the consonants invited by the fifth. The melody likes to go its own way and quickly lands on the third. Because the third creates a mild dissonance with the fifth, and therefore becomes highly attractive in all forms of tonal music. This may sound a bit overly music theoretical, but let me try to explain it as an anecdotal analogy. Let's take a love relationship. The reason sweet music arises is that a pleasant, exciting friction is created between the two lovers. Without being discriminatory, let's take a man and a woman, Mr. Musicus and Mrs. Musica. The man, before he met her, was a fifth. His emotional life on hold, monotonous. Within a pillar of consonant fifth material. The emotions are there but dormant, latent. Then the woman appears. She stands before him. The fifth that he is built upon begins to vibrate and move. This is natural. She, the woman, carries the third within her. That, too, is natural. Why? Because they are, by nature, compatible. In this way she offers her beloved the perfect interval for a new melody. She becomes the most important person in his life. And together they form a triad with the third at its center, often the beginning of the melody. This is what happens in the composition asterisk voco enchanted. The root tone here is C, because C major is the main key and tonic. Thus, the note E, the third, plays a central role. The entire piece begins with a kind of dominant pairing of the third, E, which should, in anticipation, resolve to the parallel key of a minor. But here the man intervenes. With force and conviction, he firmly asserts the root tone C, marking his ground right at the start of the love affair. This shakes the woman, the third, but she likes it. She unfolds her charm and graciously creates a 4-note chord on the third, which unfolds into the chord of E. When the first opening chord finally strikes, we get the odd beginning. An E major triad with C as the bass note. Not only that, they both feel the tension and the great risk in such a maneuver. So they glue their connection together with a common tone, D, the passing tone between C and E. This introduces yet another dissonance, from surprising to powerful and manifesting. This forms the opening chord, a pillar of tonic root and mediant, with an added seventh that lubricates the relationship from the very start. But Mrs. Musica is not satisfied with that. She bends towards the next motion, heading for a leading tone to the subdominant mediant, the well-known second degree of the C major scale, D minor. Normally, the leading tone to D minor is the third of a major, often appearing as an A7 chord functioning as a dominant to D minor. But this time, Mrs. Musica boldly introduces a firm and almost brutal leading tone chord, C sharp major with a seventh. This is nearly scandalous, extremely dissonant on paper, but why does it not sound dissonant in practice? The explanation lies in the power of the leading tone. It performs wonders. With a strong leading tone, one can almost add any extra tones without it sounding contrived or unpleasant. So Mrs. Musica does the only right thing. And this delightful dissonance drives Mr. Musicus wild. He hammers away at the root C relentlessly, clinging to this heaven.